you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What up, Fright fans? Jaime and Fuego here, and I extend a bienvenidos to the horror show to all of you. And I'm going to be doing a review in the last of my catch-up here on this fine Sunday for a film that just recently hit theaters. Now, it's more of the thriller side of things, but we cover tons of that here on the horror show. And it's a flick called Locked. Now, this has some star power behind it, which is definitely worthy of making mention of. So you've got Bill Skarsgård. Yep, that's right. Count Orlok, Pennywise. I mean, you know, the great thing about this dude is that I love the myriad of stuff that he has done over the years, whether it was villains with Mike and Monroe, whether it was, I actually really liked Boy Kills World. I thought that was pretty rad status with Tree from, what the Happy Death Day flicks. What else has, I mean, unfortunately the Crow movie, but I didn't think he was necessarily the issue with that Crow movie. That was script and, you know, stylistic issues and various other things. So, you know, Bill Skarsgård, I mean, he's from a very prominent family. I mean, we're talking, Swedish Hollywood royalty, right? I mean, his dad, Stellan Skarsgård, you know, his brother, you know, was, Eric on True Blood and has done tons of other things. I believe there is a third brother as well, but I think Bill Skarsgård has, you know, in any event, I'm not here to debate, you know, Bill versus his brother as far as prominence go. We know who's the more handsome of the two, let's be fair here. But, so this is a remake of a flick that I saw from Argentina when it first came out. It's called 4x4, and it's about a guy who breaks into a vehicle, and it's apparently like booby-trapped, and he gets locked inside, hence the title of the remake, and then it's about him being tormented by the owner of this vehicle, and almost turns into kind of like torture porn a little bit. Nothing like... Honestly, from what I remember about 4x4, because it came out in like 18 or 19, I think was when I saw it on the film festival circuit, this remake from the director of Brightburn goes way harder, in my estimation. And so it's one of, as far as overall thoughts, it might be one of the few times where I think the remake of a foreign film, a foreign genre film, is actually better. Because I've talked mad smack over the years, you know, the remake of Let the Right One In, you know, the Dark Water remake. I mean, there's tons and tons of these films that I did enjoy the Funny Games remake. I mean, it's tough, man, you know, where you have something that that I still think Gore Verbinski's The Ring is better than the first one. So it happens sometimes, you know, when these English language, North American remakes, as we like to call them, unbeknownst to me, when I was doing a little bit of research, this had already been remade a couple times in other territories even before this North American version came out. So, or English language version, I should possibly say. No, there was a Brazilian one, then there was maybe one more. So this is the third time it's been remade. It does give me pause to, you know, want to check out those other versions. 4x4, I think the original film from Argentina, it was an Argentinian and Spanish co-production. I think it was on Screambox or Shudder for a while. I'm not sure if it's streaming anywhere at this particular point, but I really dug that film and I found it very effective. And yet this one, maybe it's recency bias, this one goes a lot harder. So Bill Skarsgård's character, to get into the story, he's a down on his luck guy, and even though it's been like 6 or 7 years since I saw the original film, I don't recall, and, you know, let me know in the comments below if I'm mistaken about this, I don't recall them attempting to make the car thief character, which Skarsgård is playing, as sympathetic as they did in this one. Because in this version, Skarsgård has a estranged baby mama, and he has a daughter, and so he's kind of a deadbeat dad. You know, he's behind on child support and all these different things, you know, a couple years if I remember correctly, but you know, he still has like a very deep and loving connection with his daughter. She knows Pop's a, you know, F up, but she's like, you know, I still love you, Dad, even though you know, your van's in the shop because you're broke and you can't come pick me up from school and Mom's mad at you about it, like that sort of thing. But he does have good, you know, on-phone chemistry with the daughter, and, you know, you can tell there's a very cute sweetness about them. And so they attempt to make the car thief character significantly more sympathetic in this one, at least in my estimation. And yeah, so he doesn't have enough money to get the van fixed, and so he's kind of prowling around in this nasty area of town, you know, where there's graffiti everywhere. And but it's edited from a very interesting standpoint, because this Brightburn director, he intermingles like all of the just, I guess, desolation of this environment, you know, like these rundown buildings and the graffiti and everything, and even interspersing some images of like decaying dead animals that are like in like a field, you know, in this area of town or whatever. So he really goes for the fact that this is like a dying like part of town, and it's you know, it's scary, it's dangerous, all that different stuff. And so Skarsgård is going around, he's like trying, as you see in the trailer, trying to open all these different vehicles. Okay, and yeah, he eventually finds one that's open, and in a very interesting little piece that I didn't notice till near the end, it's a brand of vehicle. Like, it looks like maybe, I don't know, like a Lincoln, or I don't know, maybe some sort of very like posh SUV, you know, 4x4 as the original title implied. But yeah, it's like Domus or something like that, and so it's no car brand that I've ever heard of. It's obviously a very customized sort of vehicular. But even more interesting than that, the logo, that, you know, every vehicle has a logo, whether it's a Benz or, you know, Beamer or whatever. And the logo for this is actually the justice symbol of the blindfolded woman, you know, with the two little weights and everything. And so that gives you kind of a hint and a taste of what is going to happen when he gets in this vehicle, and the owner, which happens to be Anthony Hopkins, traps him in there. And so Skarsgård's character can't get out, and yeah, Anthony Hopkins, he has complete control of this, from, you know, the temperature stuff, you know, you can, you know, heating and cooling and everything like that. He can play music, he can make phone calls to, you know, verbally torment and chastise and lecture and all that different stuff, the Skarsgård character. And he's in there for days, man, like days. So we're talking food and water become a commodity. He's thinking about drinking his own piss, like all these different things. And it is, despite being a one location flick that gives vibes of, I don't know, maybe like Phone Booth or Buried or, you know, things like that, it is very effective. And it's because of the fact that, you know, from a film, like I've praised the acting already, obviously, because the two leads are great. The setup, while simple, is effective, and it does veer into social commentary about the haves versus the have-nots, and just the social dilemma of how strictly and viciously do we punish criminals. I mean, it doesn't dive like super deep into this stuff, but it's mentioned, you know. I mean, the book Crime and Punishment, I mean, it's not quite as surface level as you may expect. You know, I've seen people making a Saw comp with this. Emma from Spooky Astronauts, a few other people. I don't completely agree with that, because it doesn't really go to those levels of viciousness. But still, man, I mean, it's definitely wrought with social commentary and with things that will cause pause and make you to contemplate and think and everything. So it does that rather effectively. And then where the film gets a lot more interesting is where Anthony Hopkins, you know, in the later half of it, starts taking more control of the vehicle and doing things with it. You see hints of it in the trailer. You know, people being potentially run down, like his daughter is one. And so, I mean, these are, it goes for it, you know, and it rackets up the tension. You can feel the stakes escalating as perhaps Anthony Hopkins' character gets a little bored with the situation. It's like there's only so much you can do with, like, making the place freezing cold, or, you know, playing polka music to, you know, just drive him nuts or whatever. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, man. It's one of the few instances where, as I mentioned earlier, I think I like this better than the original, and that does not happen very often, at least for me, when it comes to genre pictures and stuff like that. I've praised the filmmaking, the fact that they make it feel claustrophobic, but also to be shooting in such a very enclosed and contained sort of place, the fact that it still feels bigger at times, and it incorporates, you know, there's like different small cameras inside the vehicle, so there's different viewpoints of Skarsgård as he is just going through the misery of being trapped here, and the quick edits and, you know, things like that. Like, it really effectively gets across the torment that he's enduring, the torture, because there's other booby traps of sorts that are in there too, certain things that Hopkins' character can do with the seats, and I mean, so it's also very briskly paced, and it doesn't overstay its welcome in my estimation. It's a solid 90 minutes. Maybe it's not ultimately something that needs to be seen in a theater, but if you are like just hungry for genre and stuff that is not lackluster, like if you're like, oh man, not another, BS Blumhouse PG-13 sort of endeavor. If you want star power, if you want great acting because of it and solid writing, simple concept executed very well that does bring in a few interesting twists and turns, and like, man, in the third act, and this isn't spoiling anything, but when Anthony Hopkins is like, I'm gonna give you a taste of hell and all this stuff, and it's very effective. I dug this movie, like, very much so, and honestly, because of the fact that I enjoyed 4x4, the Argentinian original, so much, I went in with the burden of expectation, with the star power of Skarsgård and Hopkins. Like, I went in, honestly, conditioned to find this lacking compared to the original, and lo and behold, it exceeded my expectations. And I know that's a high benchmark, and if you're not into these sort of I guess low budget, yeah, this is definitely a lower budget, but it still looks great because they spent their money where they needed to. And yeah, Locked is a big time recommend from me, guys. From a technical standpoint, from an acting standpoint, from a just very effectively executed standpoint, I really dug this. And maybe it's not ultimately worthy of a theatrical release, but for the genre hounds that want something that is quality, and you don't want to wait around until it hits the VOD, go on a Tuesday at AMC and see it for like $6 or whatever, or use your A-list, or hit up a matinee or whatever. It's enjoyable. I was in for a lot of the movies that I have reviewed here on the horror show today, this is one of many. It's a lot of empty theaters, and it makes me sad, because I love the experience of cinema. I know not everybody holds that in as much sanctity as I do, but Locked is definitely worth your time, everybody. So I extend a grande gracias. I've been Jaime Fuego. You can find more on all social media sectors: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, Blue Sky, all the silliness threads, tiki-talkies. But the most important thing is for you guys to give a like, share if you're down with this review, subscribe if you're just stumbling upon this, if you were searching out reviews of Locked, if you've seen it already, or if you're just trying to see some other people's thoughts on it, validate your own or contradict your own. That's the fun thing about being in this sphere. Yeah, share it, comment below, let me know if you guys have seen this, what you thought about it. Let me know if you've seen the original 4x4. I would love to hear your thoughts, as would Cecil, the founder of the feast here. So that's gonna do it, everybody. It's time for me to cut it out. I've been Fuego, y'all have been Rat Status, and yeah, until next time, Fright fans and Spooky Yuki's boys and ghouls and everything else under this scarific deadly desert sun, remember, stay scared.